Hi, my name is Jill Manitz, and I'm a faculty member here at Sacred Heart University, and I'm the director of the Master of Social Work program.
Hi, I am Elizabeth Johnson-Tyson. I am faculty here at Sacred Heart University, and I'm also the director of the Student Support and Success program. So we are coming to you right now from the School of Social Work.
We're so excited to come to you today and talk about the Anti-Racism Virtual Summit.
Our mission really is to dismantle oppression, dismantle racism. We are a social justice program, and we emphasize social justice.
So in thinking about our mission, we're really challenged as educators in identifying ways to put that mission to action. And so we're constantly challenged to identify ways and opportunities for our faculty, our staff, and our students to really engage in that action.
We are hoping that everyone who attends the conference, regardless of discipline, but especially our School of Social Work students, come with the idea of accepting the challenge to think openly and honestly about where they are in this walk of anti-racism and doing everything that they can to make sure as they move forward, they dismantle racism.
I have to really do a lot of digging personally and think about what's my role in contributing to the problem and what's my role going to be as an individual that's part of the solution. This summit is just such a great way for professionals and students from all walks of life, from all experiences, to come together in a safe place to just kind of lay it out on the table. We're so proud to be a co-sponsor of the Anti-Racism Virtual Summit. We invite you to join us on this journey and continue these important conversations with people from all over the country. So we hope to see you soon.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mitt Joyner, and currently I am the president of the National Association of Social Workers. So where are all of you from? I see that I have some friends from Philadelphia, Holly that has joined, and I'd like to see where the other people are coming from this morning. I have my coffee in hand, and I just want to thank you for getting up this morning and for joining another year of dismantling racism. So let's kind of talk about what we're doing as social workers and where we're going. Last year we had a difficult job to do, and it's not getting any easier. But that's what dismantling anything does. It gets more difficult as each day goes by. So I see that New Orleans is here, and Boston is here, and Connecticut, and Alaska, Grand Rapids, New Mexico, Miami, Florida. All of these. Tiffany's coming in from the MSW student from Florida International. Eastland, Michigan is up this morning. We had Fordham University in the house. Where else do we have our all of you joining from? Grambling State, an HBCU. As an HBCU graduate, yes, we're in the house. A Howard U and Central State graduate I am. Okay, look like Kentucky's in the house. Seeing more from New Jersey, Kimberly from Minnesota, Birmingham, Alabama. What has the internet done for us? It has connected us. All righty. UK is here. Stephanie from the UK. Welcome this morning. All right. Let me just start with Widener College, Widener University, right down the road. Northern Kentucky. Yes, HBCUs. HBCUs have had this mission of demanding equality and have been anti-racist from a long time. Let me just kind of read to you this morning something that I would like us to think about. It's just an excerpt because the poem is long, but it is by my favorite poet, Langston Hughes. You see, I use Langston Hughes as a way to get my day started. And he said, "Oh, let America be America again, the land that has never been yet, and yet must be, the land where every man is free, the land that's mine, the poor man's, the Indians, the Negroes, me. Who made America? Whose sweat and blood? Whose faith and pain? Whose hand at the foundry? Whose plow in the rain? You must bring back our mighty dream again. Sure, call me any ugly name you choose. The steel of freedom does not stain. For those who live like leeches on the people's lives, we must take America back again. Oh, yes, I say it plain. America never was America to me, and yet I swear this oath, America will be. Out of the rack and ruin of gangster death, the rape and rot of graft and theft and lies, we, the people, must redeem the plain, the lands, the plants, the rivers, and the mountains and the endless plain, all stretch of these green states, and make America again." Yes, Langston Hughes said this. Langston Hughes wrote this poem years ago, and he let us know that America was not America for him. It didn't reflect him. Yet at the same time, he understood that his ancestors built this country from the very beginning. And now probably this poem would be called critical race theory, the new thing that's going on here in the States. Take this off of the bookshelves, all of Langston Hughes' work, because he's too radical and perhaps makes some groups of people feel uncomfortable. Social workers, we have a job to do. You see, we cannot continue to just tweet, to just give out a few lines about what we feel each day. We are involved in a movement. You see, it was the civil rights movement that is continuing today. It did not stop with Emmett Till. It did not stop with John Lewis. It did not stop with Barack Obama. In fact, we all know that as we study systems theory, that ability to balance, that equifinality, that is what we're going through right now. You know, there are those in Washington, D.C. that currently believe that, what happened on January 6th was just a group of friendly people going to the Capitol. It didn't do anything. Why are we so enraged about January the 6th? I ask you to think about that, but look at what's going on in Texas. Look what Abbott signed yesterday that literally wipes out our voices, Black voices, by gerrymandering and using the census data and making Texas so that there's no representation. Yes, we have plenty of work to do. And see, we can't do it from our house. Yes, COVID set us here so that we could talk together. Let's look at some of the positive things. We could talk together. I could get right now and look and see that people are emailing from Tuskegee and emailing us from all over. But now each of us need to build our coalition And we need to go to our state capitals and begin to question what they are doing. We need to take the masses and let America be, as Langston Hughes states. We must organize. We can no longer stay in the academy and just learn from our books. We, social workers, must take action. I am a member of NASW, and as I said, I am the president of NASW. I'm a member of NABSW. I'm a member of CSWE. I'm a member of BPD. I hold memberships in many, many different organizations. And my sole purpose within every one of those organizations, from sorority all the way to NASW, is to demand social justice for all people. So this year I have dedicated, since July, all of my presentations on voting, the politics of social work, ethics, diversity, and race. And we have to look at the politics of social work. You know, this movement that we're in did not just start today. It started all the way back when African Americans came to Jamestown, Virginia. Their first arrival was as indentured slaves in 1619. But soon they became slaves. And slaves meant no matter how hard you worked, once you were born a slave, you would always be a slave. And America participated in slavery for centuries, for a couple of centuries. And we know that a century is 100 years old. So from 1650 to 1860, America participated in slavery. But not only did they participate in slavery, America refused to acknowledge that there were thousands of people that were living on Turtle Island, indigenous people, and that they were living in peaceful coexistence. And they didn't believe in owning land because Mother Earth was there to serve everyone. And America participated in moving indigenous people, the Cherokee, the Choctaw, the Creek, the Seminole, from lands southeast of the United States, all the way to lands west of the Mississippi. And even today, we know that Native Americans are reservations. What's a reservation, you say? It is where you are reserved to a certain part of land. But don't get it twisted. Once that last Native American leaves that reservation, it comes back to the United States. And yes, some of the conditions are horrific. No water, no electricity, unless Native Americans did that themselves. This is the land that they lived on prior to Christopher Columbus getting lost. And when he got lost and thought he was in the West Indies, he landed here. And Native Americans embraced them. But soon they learned the difficult task. And then we also know in the 1800s, we brought Chinese people here to the West Coast. And we wanted them to do the mining, but also to build the railroad. But we said that they were aliens ineligible for citizenship. And therefore, they were not allowed to participate in government, nor own land. And then we signed the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1882 and again in 1892, and then we made it permanent. And then we began to see an influx of Japanese and Korean people coming to the United States. But again, America did something that it always does. It denied them education, along with African Americans being denied education, Native Americans being denied education. And then we also, at that same time, simultaneously, at the end of the Mexican-American War, we signed a treaty which took over states that Mexicans lived in and said that these lands were now belong to the United States. And with the strike of a pen, we went from Colorado or Texas that belonged to Mexico to now being possessions of the United States. Now, had we lived up to that agreement, we would all be speaking Spanish right now, because the treaty said that they were going to do that people were going to learn English and we were going to learn Spanish. But we, just like all the treaties that we broke that agreement and only forced those Mexicans to learn English. So when you look at history, don't look at it through your own silo. Look at it through the silo of many, and even the silo of women, because women did not have the right to vote until 1924. And the only reason they got the right to vote is that they had to go and ask white men for that privilege and honor. And because white men were considering to allow Black people, men, the right to vote, they said, okay, we'll let women vote. Now, we learned in our history about the Holocaust. Democracy is indeed a test. We do not have a perfect union, and we bend that arc of justice towards equity for all. But in bending that arc of justice, we need to come together in terms of Blacks, African Americans, Native Americans, Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, Latinx, all groups who make up so much of this country must come together and demand our right to vote. And we must not allow any group of people to suppress our right to vote, to put the ballot box in the middle of an ocean where we do not have access. And then, my friends, it is important for us to remember that every presidential election, we get out and we vote. You cannot say that we do not show up to vote. But now there's legislation that will say, even though I may have 5 votes and you may have millions of votes, some group of people now can come along and say, you know what, Joyner won that. We are at the precipice of the falling of a democracy. And every year we come together and we have to be very clear of the role of what anti-racism means. See, it just doesn't mean be nice to me. It means making sure that all people have access. And these structural barriers that we have to demolish them. We can no longer sit here and pretend that there are those in our government that believe in the right to vote. Currently, there's an individual who's a social worker in Arizona, Kristen Sinema, and yes, she has done and passed some legislation. You see, Kristen Sinema came and she told social worker's story that she was homeless and that she had her own disabilities and that she currently teaches social work and that she upholds the code of ethics. Well, we as social workers must ask her, beg her, plead her, do whatever is necessary to be the 50th vote, and to make sure that all people have access to the ballot. Because no matter what you say as far as bringing both sides along, the sides are not the same. We see the gerrymandering going on, and we know that the extremists are controlling the American agenda, the Build Back Better that will help all people and uplift all people. See, I'm not here to be a politician. Social worker's not a politician, nor are we a lobbyist. What we must do is uphold our code of ethics. And we have to protect the rights of all people, especially those who are vulnerable. That is our role. Don't let a social worker tell you that they don't believe in advocacy or they don't practice social justice. If they don't practice social justice and do not advocate for people, then they're not a social worker. It's simple as that. And there are professions for people who choose not to be a change agent, but it's not social work. We can no longer destroy people's lives and pretend that it's all their fault when people don't have access. To deny people water who stand in line 6 hours to exercise their constitutional right, that's a human rights violation. If any other country did that, the United States would have so much to say. If my grandmother's standing in line in Georgia and she's been there and her legs are swollen, and I, as her granddaughter, bring her some water and some food, I could be arrested. Is that the America we want? Nah. We got to go back to what Langston Hughes talked about. You know, we plowed those lands. We made America America. We built the railroads. We actually embraced all people to this land. And there were those of us who were here first. And some people will say it was the Bering Strait. We're Native Americans, that they walked here from the Bering Strait. But we do know that people were here. It's time for us to get our history correct in America, because history, lost, stolen, and strayed, can be something that is not used in the way that it was intended. To create a new story, to say that we can't hurt people by telling the truth, means that we can hurt people who come from other groups different from white men. Yes, we're social workers, and we are on this road of change. I don't know if I'll get there with you, just like Martin Luther King said, but I do know that there is a new mountaintop. And I asked all of you as social workers, as you listen today, not to just listen or have a side conversation. I need you to create your own artifact, your own vision of what America should be. And I need you to work with coalitions. I don't need us to point fingers at one another. My father said a long time ago, when you point your finger at someone else, 3 are pointing back at yourself. What are you doing as social workers? And what actions are you taking? I know that the majority of people that are attending this summit are doing powerful things. Did you listen to yesterday's presentations? And I know that those of you who are up this morning with your coffee and listening to me right now, you're doing great things. But now the hard task. We have to turn to others and get them to join your coalition. So I say to you this morning, learn, listen, and take action. Learn, listen, and take action. And make sure that, oh yes, I say it plain. America never was America to Native Americans, Latino Americans, Asian Americans, and Pacific Islanders, Chinese, Korean, Blacks, Native Americans. All of us were denied an education, but that did not stop us. And as Frederick Douglass said, who was born a slave, our purpose in life is to agitate, agitate, agitate until we bend that arc of justice towards equity for all. So I wish you the best this morning and every morning. And do know that we're going to do that duck walk. We're going to move forward for 3 steps, and then we're going to walk back 2 steps, because that's how systems change occurs. But don't get frustrated. Don't look for the end. Continue to build, commit, continue to demand. Yes, we're coming hopefully out of COVID, but who knows? There is a new dawn ahead. It is up to us to make sure that the new morning is bright for all people. Again, quoting my dad, he said to me, Mitt, nobody's better than you. And he also said, but remember, you are no better than anyone else. So it is with that energy, with that passion, that I continue to do the work that I do. And I will do that work until it is no longer my time on earth. And as I said, I may not get there with you, but I do know that the mountaintop is there, and we're going to climb it, and we're going to achieve. Don't get frustrated, people. That's what the Marjorie Greens, and that's what all of these people want us to do. To get tired. There'll be obstacles. There'll be challenges. But if we could take that journey on that slave ship across those waters, and we could succeed to where we are today, that is the legacy on which we stand. Thank you. And I'm not sure where we are as far as the program or how much time we have left. I just think it's a few minutes. I get on these 2 minutes. So again, I want you all, when you know better, you do better. Thank you, Scott. That's a quote from Maya Angelou. When you know better, you do better. Talk to your family members. Listen to those stories. You know, all of us have grandparents that will not be here, or even parents. Learn what they fought for, and let that be the strength. I stand on, as NASW president, I tell everyone, I stand on the shoulders of Whitney Young, who was the president of NASW. And he was a courageous man. Spoke at the March on Washington, helped craft the Voting Rights Act. So I stand on such strong legacy of my parents, of Andrew Billingsley, of HBCUs, Howard University and Central State University, on Whitney Young, on Dorothy Height, on all of those shoulders. So I know that I will make America embrace all of you. So again, thank you. Continue, march on, learn, listen, but take action. A social worker is not a social worker if they do not actively work to bring social change. You are the change agent. Thank you so much.